President Richard Nixon was the one who declared a war on drugs back in 1971, and it's been fought by every administration since. But today, an international commission says that war is lost. The 19-member panel includes the former presidents of 3 foreign countries, 2 senior members of the Reagan administration, and British billionaire Richard Branson. Their report labels the war on drugs a failure. It says some drugs should be regulated instead of outlawed, and that drug control policy should be rooted in health care, not law enforcement. All right, I guess we could call Richard Roper a field commander in the drug war. He's the former U.S. attorney for the Northern District of Texas, now in private practice, so he's been out there fighting the front lines. Joy Strickland speaks for the casualties of this war. Her son, Chris, was killed by a drug dealer in 1993. Joy, I'm curious about your reaction when you heard the world leaders say the war on drugs is lost today.
Well, I was absolutely elated to hear this global commission on drug policy come out and say that the drug policy is a failure and that we need to focus on a public health approach to drug use and addiction instead of locking up people.
And you think the war on drugs, maybe not directly, but somewhat could be said caused your son's murder. How is that?
Well, I really feel, and I think the facts will bear me out, that when you have a model of prohibition, what you're doing is you're creating violence and crime. You're not necessarily reducing it. So when you engage or give criminals the opportunity to traffic in illegal drugs, and these people will sell to anyone and they will use any measures, violent, whatever necessary,
right,
then you are actually creating an environment in which criminal activity can flourish.
All right, let's get Mr. Roper to this. Mr. Roper, let's start at the beginning. Is the drug war a failure, as the commission says?
No, I don't agree it is. I do agree with the commission that I believe a drug approach should be comprehensive. You can't arrest your way out of the drug problem, but I think we've seen a lot of success using a comprehensive approach that involves enforcement and prevention and treatment. And if you look at the use of drugs over, say, in the 70s, use among young adults has dropped 46% since that time. And even in the last 5 years, cocaine use has been reduced 30%. Ecstasy use has been reduced. Steroid use, LSD use. We've had some great successes. We have a far way to go. Cocaine shipments from Colômbia have dropped significantly. Working with Mexico, in changing the laws dealing with the use of precursor chemicals to make methamphetamine, we've had a significant success in dropping the use and importation of methamphetamine.
Joy, what do you think of those numbers Mr. Roper's talking about?
Well, the numbers are the numbers, and anyone can get their own statistics to prove whatever their argument is. But I think it's clear that we have been engaged in this experiment of drug prohibition now for 40 years. And it's been a very expensive experiment in that we have now spent almost $1 trillion.
Let's talk about that.
Drug war.
Yeah, let's talk about Richard, I want to move through a few of these things. First, we're pulling out of Iraq and Afghanistan in part because of economics. Boy, is it worth fighting this war that's cost us $1 trillion. Cops, courts, prisons blown up.
Oh, look, the premise I reject is that legalization is going to be some kind of panacea that's going to solve our problems. That's not so. Alcohol use, legal, is a huge problem on campus right now.
It is, but you don't see any gang shootings outside the 7-Eleven, over beer and cigarettes anymore.
If we were to legalize drugs, it would be a huge gamble on our future. Drug use would go up, and you would still have a black market. What are you going to legalize drugs for grade school kids to use?
Well, do you think, that's a good question, do you think, and I'll ask both of you this, do you think law enforcement keeps people from using drugs, or do you think it's families and individual decisions and such like that? You know what I mean? If marijuana were legal, would everybody start using it simply because it's legal, Joy?
I don't think those countries where have more legal drug policies would substantiate that. And really, what we have here is a structural problem. The drug trafficking is a problem of supply and demand, and so everything that we do, all of our policies, all of our laws, need to be evaluated or reevaluated in terms of their impact on the supply of drugs or the demand for drugs. And those policies that are not having a substantial impact on one or the other need to be discontinued. We can no longer afford to lock up a person for a nonviolent drug user at a cost equivalent to tuition at Harvard University.
You know what? We got to go. I'm sorry, Mr. Roper, Richard, and Joy. I'm sorry, we're out of time. Maybe we could talk a long time, and it hasn't been solved in 40 years. Sometime I want to talk about the politics involved in this and how you simply can't get elected if you say you legalize marijuana,
That's
but
right.
some people think they ought to anyway. Anyway, Richard, Joy, thank you for talking.
Thanks for
about this.
having
We'll be talking about this in the future, I think,
All right.
too. Thanks.